2, 1.
Hey, I'm Cliff. I got third place playing Paleozoic frogs at the Duluth Regional. Here's my deck list. I'm going to start with the main deck. 3 swat frog, 3 dupe frog, and 2 rodent totem. It's the classic lineup. For hand traps, 3 ash, 2 DD crow. I opted to play hand traps in the build instead of demise. For spells, 2 Potted Desires and 2 Extravagance for draw power. I ran 2 of each because you really want to see one in your opening hand, but you don't want to use them in multiples. You're really only trying to resolve 1 of each of these cards per duel. They performed great. There's a slight risk in using this card and banishing toads, but the fact is you run 15 cards in the extra deck, 3 of them are important. Scapegoat is a powerful one of. Sometimes this card can just steal games. It's amazing. You have the extra deck space to use it, so it's a great one of. For traps, for the Paleozoic traps, 3 Dynamiscus, 3 Olenoids, and 2 Canidia. I was running 2 Canidia for this event. It happened right before the ban list, so Sky Striker was huge. Canidia really underperforms in the Sky Striker matchup, so I ran it at 2 just because I didn't want to brick. Going forward, I'd probably put this card to 3. It's a good card in general. It's very versatile, but for the event, it wasn't right. The Olenoids and Dynamiscus were great, and I think running them at 3 is perfect. 3 Trap Trick. So this conflicts a little bit with the Desires. I think I'd cut this card to 2 going forward. If you banish too many traps and you don't have targets for it, and you really don't want multiples in your opening hand, you can only resolve 1, and it shuts off all your other traps for the rest of the turn. Sometimes, just to even stay in the game versus some decks, you have to use all your traps in like a single turn. So it's kind of awkward when you have multiple of them. So cut this to 2. 3 Infinite Impermanence. The last hand trap. So there's 8 hand traps total in the deck. Infinite Impermanence is just perfect for the Paleozoic deck. It's a hand trap going second. You can set it going first to trigger your Paleos and Grave. And if you're running Paleozoics, you have to run this card. 2 Compulse. Very versatile removal. I ran it at 3 for a long time, but I think 2 is right at the moment. You can still trap trick it out, and yeah, I don't think I'd bump it up. I think 2 is good. 1 Imperial Order. Just another really strong one of. It can steal games by itself. It was amazing versus Sky Striker, but even without Sky Striker in the meta, this card is still very, very strong. You chain it to Twin Twisters or search cards, and just a free negate. And sometimes you just need to be able to activate a trap to trigger a Paleozoic. Most of the other traps are reactionary. This one you can activate for no reason if you just need to summon in a slower game state. For the Solemns, 2 Strike and 3 Judgment. Judgment helps you get around a lot of the problem cards like Denko, Red Reboot, Evenly. Very strong to deal with the cards that just make you flat out lose. And Strike was, I almost put in Lost Wind, but I think Strike was better just to negate hand traps, and it's a super versatile card, so it's amazing. It performed really well. For the extra deck, 1 Raid Raptor for Waking the Dragon target, 1 Link Spider for the Scapegoat. I ran Link Spider over Link Karibo, so you could use it on one of the Paleozoic monsters in case you need to summon a rank 4. Because Borreload and Borrelsword require effect monsters. Let's see. 3 Toads. You gotta run it. This card's amazing. It's the reason the deck exists. The best extra deck creature ever printed. 2 Mistar Boy. Sometimes when you want to OTK, you want to summon Miss Starboy instead of the Boral Sword. It's a bit safer in case they can remove it. Against things like Compulse and stuff like that, you're putting less resources into one single creature, and it just inherently synergizes with the frog monsters, so I don't think I'd ever take out the 2 Miss Starboy. Ran IP, Security Dragon. These go along with the Scapegoat. Security Dragon is a seriously underrated card. It wins games by itself. A lot of the time, I'll summon Security Dragon and go Phoenix underneath, pop, draw a card, and go into Boral Sword. It's a great way to clear the board before trying to OTK. The other nightmare I run is Unicorn. Again, just for removal. And I ran 4 rank 4s. So Borreload was mostly in for Thunder Dragon. It's really good in random instances, but I think I'd take it out going forward. Probably put in one of the Paleozoic XYZs, like an Anomalocaris. The interaction in the Altergeist matchup is very helpful because they are unaffected by monster effects. So it's better than Toad a lot of the time versus Altergeist because Protocol makes it so you can't negate their effects with Toad. These performed really well. Boral Sword, you summon it like every game. I mean, every match for sure. This is your main way of ending the game. Appaloosa and Avramax are great to clear the board when you go for like Security Dragon, Phoenix, and you need to just consolidate into a stronger monster. Some decks just can't out Avramax, and it's a great card. Appaloosa, I did a lot of testing versus Salad the day before the event and realized that Appaloosa was perfect for when I couldn't kill them that turn, but I wanted to stabilize, so stops all their effects in the graveyard. Really strong versus like Orcus and stuff as well. It was actually one duel where I banished the Boral Sword and I ended up just making a 4-material Appaloosa with 2 Toads. It's like, what deck can beat that? For the side deck, 3 Nibiru. This is for Salad, really any combo deck, Danger Thunder. This card's a little bit weaker now because it's not amazing versus Spiral. This would probably be a raw Sphere mode going forward. 2 Lancia, this card's still amazing. Orcust is a very scary deck, even with Harp gone. You definitely continue to run this. Sometimes you put it in first when you think you'll get even laid. 3 System Down, obviously targeted at Orcust. I'd probably take this out. 2 Heavy Storm and 2 Waking the Dragon. These are for control matchups mostly, or going first versus Pendulum. There are certain decks that are really greedy with removing back row, and you can punish them hard with this card. Really good versus Draco, sometimes Salad. I'd probably put in the Last Warrior from Another Planet for this now. So, you know, if they pop your back row, Spiral pops your back row, you can get the Last Warrior and sometimes just shut off the turn. And lastly, 3 Evenly Matched. You win the game going second. Not a lot else to say. It's a nuts.
Let's talk about your matchups.
Matchups, I had Necroz game 1, Mermail game 2, 2 Rogue matchups. I'm not going to say they're free, but being a trap deck, I think you inherently win versus both those matchups. Danger Thunder was a little bit scary, but he bricked. I drew Nibiru game 2, so 2-0. Faced 3 Salad players, and DD Crow overperformed in that matchup. Usually I try to save this for the trap. If Salad can start recurring Rage, then the game's over. So if you're feeling greedy, you can DD Crow early. Sometimes it'll stop their turn, but if they have will, they keep playing. My only loss was versus Sky Striker. I had the Imperial Order, but he chained MST to the Imperial Order, so that was it. And my last matchup was Pendulum. I went first, and if you win the dice roll versus Pendulum, generally you'll win that match. So
All right, so moving forward into the spiral heavy format, what kind of changes besides that raw sphere mode you mentioned would you make to your main and side deck?
In the main deck, the most important thing, I'd probably change out the one trap trick for the one Canadia. In the side deck, Inspector Border is extremely strong right now. It's very good versus Altergeist, very good versus Spiral. Without the Sky Striker engine, Orcus has a lot harder time playing through it. So, Inspector Border and Raw, the two biggest changes inside.
How do you feel about Paleozoic's place in the meta as a control deck?
I think it's slightly worse than Altergeist, but you win the Altergeist matchup. So, and it's my favorite deck. I think a lot of people know the Altergeist matchup better than the Paleozoic matchup too, so you have that edge, and if piloted properly, this deck's really good actually.
You've been climbing the regional ladder for a while now. You got like 30th and 20th and 9th, and finally you got top 4, third place, winning this gorgeous mat and deck box. So huge congrats to you.
Thank you so much. I practiced really hard for it, definitely. I went to like 4 or 5 events this season. I got invited all of them. I got 9th at one, which was heartbreaking, but I was really excited about getting 3rd. I love the deck. So.
Awesome. Any shout-outs?
Yeah, for sure. House Champs for letting me put this deck list on his channel. Win Condition Games, that's my locals. Everybody here is great. We have a really good crowd. Jackson and Marshall and Jay and everybody, man. I have my Magic players here too. Got Cameron and Jake and Sean and everyone, man. WinCon is amazing if you're ever in Georgia.
Awesome. Well, congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you.
12 minutes.